Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Back this week, NFL betting preview as always for week 11. Going to give it a little bit for people to come in. Um, yeah, missed last week. It's been a great college football season. Yesterday was kind of not great, but I think that's the first bad week in a while, so I'll be okay with it. NBA's been a good start. um, That's sitting at what are we at in NBA? We're up over 6 units, and that was with a bad showing last night. I think I had 3 losses last night, all three of which had horrible second halves to get there. So we move on. NFL this week. NFL's been a little interesting. A lot of things have been weird the last few weeks, at least in my opinion. I mean, we've had a lot of bad quarterbacks winning some games, a lot of injuries. But I got 4 plays this week. One was the Falcons +7 on Thursday, which, we all know what happened there. The Falcons are just downright terrible. But we got 3 more plays today, and one of which, really 2 of which, I still on the board. So let's hop right in. Again, if you missed this and want to watch it before the game start, at Elite Betting on Twitch, hit the follow button, and then also the Elite Sports Network on YouTube. Hit subscribe. All of our videos, all of our live streams are archived there. You can get in and watch those after the fact. So Detroit and Cleveland. Not going to spend a whole lot of time in this game because I really didn't even look at this one too much because of the injury situation to Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, it seems every part of his body is injured. Don't really know what to make of that. When he's been injured in the past, it's kind of like Kyler Murray. His value has gone way down, in my opinion. And he's been banged up. I make this game. Let's see here. -9.5, -10, and 45. So for 45 was before the wrong row. 43. I think this is a little bit of a lean to an over spot here because I think both offenses can play better. Definitely, if the injuries are more or less than what we've been made to believe here. I still think the Browns offense can move the ball. I think the Lions, despite that last week, that game against the Steelers, were just one of the worst games you'll ever watch. I do think that they've shown that they can, get to 17, 20 points pretty consistently here. Browns defense, I'm not a huge fan of. I know they got absolutely destroyed last week, but I think they're like an average, maybe slightly above average here, but maybe average going forward. But this is a game I can't get involved with because of the quarterback injuries. Mayfield's giving it a go. I don't know if he's playing at 75%, if he's playing 100%. I can't get it. Golf is not going to go, right? So you're getting Boyle, Tim Boyle. That's why you're seeing this. Can Cleveland prepare for him? I don't know. Is he an upgrade over Goff? I don't know. Goff, I still don't believe has won a game without Sean McVay. I know he just tied against the Steelers. That's his best result without Sean McVay, which is just pretty damning. So I guess my point is that could be a game. We've seen this in the past. It's hard to it's really hard to game plan for guys. A lot of times when there's a new quarterback in, you're not really doing things that you're doing. You're kind of spicing up. We saw Detroit against the Rams. I think they had 2 or 3 fake punts and kicks or whatever it was. So nothing for me here. I lean over, but again, I can't get to this number here with Boyle. I don't know. I'm assuming he's going to be a downgrade over Goff, but I don't know. It's really difficult to project guys that I, don't have the data for. But yeah, spent too much time on that game already. Um, yeah, slight lean to the over. I think this is a little bit. I don't know. I don't know how much of a down. Maybe it's a huge downgrade, but I think the coaching staff for the Lions can make some changes. So no edge here, but yeah, move on. San Francisco, Jacksonville. Jags are plus 6.5. 45 on this total. Another game that I literally make it 6.5 and 45.5. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this either. San Francisco again. I don't really know what to make of Jimmy G. There's some weeks. I think it's this scheme. It's kind of like the Goff thing in my mind. I think a little bit. We saw this with Goff in his tenure with the Rams, until this year when he got traded. Jimmy G is 10th, or sorry, in EPA per play this year. He's top 5 among quarterbacks, and that doesn't make sense. That doesn't really pass the eye test, but the offense works. Like we know that it does, and they're able to run the ball. They're very dynamic. Deebo Samuel's great. They have a lot of good players. So this isn't like a shocking development that they know how to play. They know how to scheme open. Shanahan's system works. It's just one of those things where it's like eye test. This guy's not that good. But again, the results are there. It's difficult to go. He's no longer top 5. He's in. If you add Jameis Winston to the stats, but he is 5th if you're going a big enough sample here, 250 snaps. Just doesn't make sense. Doesn't have the eye test, right? Like overall the offense. I know they've had injuries. They had that game played in that monsoon. I actually don't remember what the technical term was for that, if I remember correctly. I forget what that was, but their offense, it's one of those units that's like it's good, but it's not great. They just kind of get it done. I don't know what to make of them. They go on the road here against the Jags team that played solid last week. I personally think the Jags defense is horrendous, so I think Jimmy G will have a day here. But we look at the 49ers, right? They've good. Just they just do things well. Lost their losses this year to the Colts, who are an okay team that was in that crazy weather game. Cardinals, who are good. Cardinals twice, I should say. Seahawks and Packers, and they lost the Seahawks by 7. They lost the Packers by 2. I think we kind of joke around about Shanahan and like, should he be fired? But it's again, we're kind of getting to the point they're 4-5 with losses to some tough teams, and does it get easier for them? No, they've the Jags today, Vikings, Seahawks, but I think this offense moves the ball great. Subjectively, I like the 49ers here. I think this Jags defense is terrible. If we look at EPA per play, the Jags are at the bottom of the league. They're not, bottom 5 or fifth worst in the league. The Chiefs are ahead of them, and the Chiefs have been much better since they've kind of gotten healthy. Teams below them are Detroit football team, the Washington football team, and the New York Jets. So Jags should be able to move the ball. Trevor Lawrence in this Jags offense is a mess, but Lawrence will air it out. So yeah, I'm on market there, so there's nothing I can do. But I do think that there's a path for a lot of points to be scored in this game because of how I rate the this 49ers offense. I think I might be a little low on because they're so up and down, and they're facing a bad Jags defense here. I have the Jags defense 29th in the league right now in my projections. So subjectively like the over, but no plays for me. Indy at Buffalo. First play of the week for me was, or that I'm talking about, is this one. I played under 50, minus 101 earlier in the week. That number has come down to 49.5 with some juice. So some market agreement there. Colts defense has been pretty solid. I um, can't really deny that. They're not exactly, a flashy unit that's great. They've played some bad offenses. I get that, but 16th in EPA per play on defense. Or sorry, I didn't have garbage time filtered out for this. I think if you take out garbage time, yeah, they jump up to 7th when you take out garbage time, which I think is a good thing that I just did that. They're giving up points at garbage time. I don't know if they're getting into leads or whatever. They're giving up points on the back end, so they've been better than what I think. I don't have them rated anywhere near 7th in my model, their defense, but I do think their defense is respectable. And what helps is that I do believe that they're going to try to game control this. Buffalo likes to play fast. They throw the ball a ton. Obviously, high-powered offense. I don't need to say anything else about Buffalo's defense. It's been fantastic this year. Both of these defenses are probably slightly overrated, even though I do think the Bills are a top defense in the league right now. They've played some bad offenses, both of these teams, but I still think they're both solid. Buffalo, like I said, they're going to pass. Indy, I think they're going to game control this. I think from a game script wise, Jonathan Taylor is going to get a healthy bit of carries. Frank Reich has kind of, even though Carson Wentz it's a roller coaster ride, he'll make some plays that, like, if you're a Colts backer today, you'll be screaming because of how ridiculous it is. The type of play that he's making, he loves to do the shovel pass when he's about to get sacked. We'll see how that goes. But Colts, they're actually right on par with the Bills in regards to EPA per play this year. I'm not going to say that these offenses are close to each other, but it's something to think about. Technically, both offenses are below average in EPA per play this year. So I think we're getting to the point where this is just kind of a high number. I think there's a range where this game can get very loose and have a ton of scoring. But I think in this scoring environment in the NFL, it's really difficult for me to say that these two teams match up and play a game that goes way over. We go back through the games. The Jets, they're terrible. That was the Mike White game for the Colts. Jets, they had 75 points. Before that, they had the Titans game. The Titans defense is not good. You're not getting that today with the Bills. Before that, it's Houston and San Fran, 34 and 48 points last week against the Jags. Jags have a terrible defense. It was 40 points. I think the Colts are going to play very slow today. Try to keep this Buffalo offense off the field. Are they good enough to sustain drives against this defense? Time will tell. I think Frank Reich will have a good game plan, though. And I think we might have maybe seen that with them letting Jacksonville into it. I think they're looking ahead to this game with how that second half played out last week. Colts are 5-5, so they're still in it. Buffalo, 6-3. Somehow the Patriots are gonna end up with a bye with that. I still don't think that team's all that great, but kind of a big game here for the conference, as the Colts are on the outside looking in right now, but there's a ton of teams. The Patriots are the 5 seed at 7-4 right now. So kind of a big game in AFC playoff implications here. I like the under. I played it at 50. I still kind of like it at 49.5. Probably, 49, it's probably not really worth a play in my mind. But 49.5, if you get some favorable juice, I think you're good. I wouldn't pay a really pricey 49.5, but good market agreement there. So happy. Well, I'm excited to see that game have 31 points in the first half. Dolphins at Jets. Joe Flacco going for the Jets today. Jets are plus 3.5. Totals 44.5. I don't really know what to make of Flacco. I personally think that whoever you put on this Jets team, whether it's Mike White, Zach Wilson, whomever, is terrible. I think you probably have the best of the group in Flacco, just because the experience, and just he's not going to make the bonehead mistakes, if you will. Um, but what's interesting is this Miami defense has been playing pretty solid. They kind of, they were a little injured there in the middle. They started off the year terrible. Now they're kind of coming around here. And when you filter out garbage time, they're eighth in EPA per play. And this is kind of the Dolphins defense that we saw or expected this year. This is the one we saw last year. So it's good to see them kind of turning it around. I'm not going to sit here and say the Dolphins offense has done as much, but Tua has shown a little bit I don't want to say improvement, but he's been a little bit better. Um, I think he's much better than Brissett, and I don't know if people realize, but Brissett's played more snaps than Tua this year. Um, excuse me. But yeah, I think Tua just has these like brutal turnover decisions every game. I think outside of that, he plays all right. Um, it's really just it comes down to like one or two turnovers, and those are backbreaking. But this Jets defense is terrible, probably the worst in the league. They're everybody says the Chiefs defense is so bad. When you're looking at EPA per play, the difference between the Jets and the Chiefs is the difference between the Chiefs and who are 31st in EPA per play and the football team who's 29th. Um, it's a very, very big uh, drop off when you get to these bottom teams. The Jets really have not been able to stop anyone. I don't know if that's gonna, the Dolphins are the team that are going to be able to light them up, but I can see it. I lean Dolphins here. It was 3 early in the week. I like that 3.5. I think it's okay. Solid play. I don't know if you can get a stale 3. It's probably worth it. But is it tough to game plan for Flacco because he hasn't played yet this year? I don't know. He's been there for, I don't know, it seems like a month now. They traded for him, didn't play him. Maybe it's not even been a month since Wilson got hurt, but I don't expect much from Flacco. I think this Dolphins defense is good enough to, I guess there's still tape out on Flacco. It's not tape within this offense, so we'll see what happens there. But I do lean Miami in this game. I think they can get it. I do slightly lean over in this game, but that makes me nervous with I'd rather the lean that I have on Miami, I think, is stronger than the lean that I have on the over. So lean there. I think if you can get a 3, I don't think you're probably gonna get like 3 minus 120. If you can get them a 3 minus 115, it's probably worth the shot there. But I do lean Dolphins here. Again, like I said, they're up to 8th in EPA per play outside of garbage time. They're playing better, the defense. If Tua can just limit and if they can just have a little bit of the offense, like spice it up a little bit, maybe we can get something going here. But back-to-back wins over the Texans. That was with Tyrod playing with the Ravens. You have, like, I'm not going to say that they can make a playoff run here, but you have Jets, Panthers, Giants, Jets. Before you finish with Saints, Titans, Patriots. If you can win the next 4, what are you, 7-7? Guess you give yourself a shot. Dolphins need to start today, as I do lean their way. Football team of Carolina. Great storylines in this one, right? Ron Rivera returns to Carolina. Cam Newton gets first start of the year for the Panthers. Panthers are -3, 3.5, depending. There's been a little bit of money come on Washington since I've started this. Total is 43. I lean Carolina here. It's tough. I don't know what to make of Newton. He's probably getting the best offensive coordinator he's had. And I'm not saying that like the Patriots don't know what they're doing, but I don't think the Patriots were ever going to like tailor the offense to Cam Newton. I think that was part of their issue. So Joe Brady and Matt Rule figure this out. Probably they both have college experience. They can probably get a little bit, something going there. But I passed. It's tough. It's tough for Washington to, Chase Young out for the year last week, torn ACL. It's really tough for, I guess, the game plan for this Washington defense, which has not been good. Really difficult for me to see them game planning for Carolina or Cam Newton, how that goes, because it can be a totally different offense. We saw Sam Darnold running and having success. If that can transfer over to Cam Newton, who knows? I know that was early in the year, but you're getting a different quarterback, probably better than what they've had. Darnold's been just terrible this year for them, so not really sure of what to make of what this Carolina offense looks today and how it goes. And then when we look at they're number 2 in EPA per play. I do think that I think they've sustained the success for long enough. I said earlier in the year that I thought they were overrated. I think they're number 1 in EPA per play to start off the year for some time. But when you look at this, they started off with the Jets and the Saints offense. Texans got lit up by the Cowboys. Eagles offense, they kept at bay. The Vikings scored on them. Giants offense could not score on them. Falcons could not score on them. Patriots didn't really do much against them. And I'm not going to count the Cardinals, but the Cardinals, they didn't really do anything because Colt McCoy played. Do I think Taylor Heineke is the guy that can score on this Carolina defense? No, I don't. So I think if you can get 3, I think Carolina is worth a play. I like Heineke. I've said to Dream multiple times, since he's a football team fan, that I think if Taylor Heineke had the arm strength, he would be a pretty solid NFL player. I feel like he knows how to read a defense. He just loves a YOLO ball, and he does not have a gun, and that's just a bad recipe for Washington. So lean Carolina here. I didn't play it. It's a game I don't love getting involved with quarterbacks. I know I'm betting on, like, Carolina's offense could look terrible today, or Washington could have no idea how to game plan for Newton being the full-time starter. So lean Carolina. I even have the slightest of leans to the under, but it's the same thing again, where it goes to, if Carolina's offense looks great with Newton today, then the over probably hits. So again, lean more towards the Carolina. Have much bigger lean on Carolina -3, -3.5 than I do with the over. Baltimore, Chicago. I'm not going to spend time here. I haven't seen if it came out if Lamar Jackson is good to go today. I didn't like the what are we saying? 50-50. I'm trying to find an updated one here. Probably going to be a game time disorder. They had to promote Trace McSorley to the active roster, which I'd say is a pretty good, it's 50-50. Guy just keeps getting sick. 3rd non-COVID illness of the year. God needs to drink some orange juice or something. I don't know. But I don't know if he's going to go. Can't really get involved in this game regardless. Or sorry, not regardless, but until that news is cleared up. With him on the field, this was like, what, 6.5, if I remember correctly. I think the total was 45. This has come down, I think, a good enough amount here. I do think that, Khalil Mack is out for the year for the Bears. He won't be going today. I do think it's, again, a tough spot because the Bears have not really been able, if Lamar Jackson doesn't go, they didn't get to prepare for someone else. They're kind of probably most likely preparing for Jackson all week. That didn't go well for them, or that might not end up being well. So the game plan is a little different there. Can this Baltimore offense work because Hollywood Brown is out as well? I don't know. There are a lot of injuries. Lamar is the little engine that could for that team. So nothing there for me. It's just an unbettable game right now. New Orleans at Philly. Another game that I am involved with here. Saints are 3-point dogs. This has moved since I started this as well. Totals 42.5 with some good juice towards the under. Even seeing some 42s starting to pop up. which is good news for me because I played under 43. Saints defense is great. I don't really need to go into too much depth on them. They're 6th in EPA per play this year. They've played some good defenses as well, or offenses as well. It's not like you're sitting here and they're playing, um, bad teams. We got the Packers. I'm not going to put the Patriots on there, but they did play the Patriots. Seahawks, although that was with what's his name, Smith, so I'm not going to put them in there. But Bucks and Titans on there as well. So you're getting about half of their games against pretty good offenses. I know people like to write off that Packers game. Maybe they're slightly overrated. I don't know. On the flip side, I don't think Trevor Siemian's any good. And so this leaves this like Titans team to kind of be like the Steelers of the last, I guess, this year in 2019, really, because last year, I guess, they kind of could move the ball. But you get these really good defenses with these really bad offenses, and you just like the defense is just crawling, like just doing whatever they can to keep the team. Like hopefully, 17 points can get them a win. But Philly, I look at Philly's defense this year, and Philly's defense started off pretty solid. Had a good game against Atlanta. We saw the Atlanta offense has been just way up and down. Played the 49ers. Brandon Graham got hurt, and then you had the Cowboys and Chiefs just score at will. The Philly defense played well against Carolina. Tampa Bay pretty much scored at will. I had the over in that game, so it's tough to think about, but Tampa Bay pretty much did whatever they wanted. The Vegas offense, I think, is an above average unit. They scored on this Philly defense. Then you have Detroit, couldn't score. The Chargers, I think, again, is above average offense. They scored on Philly. And then the Broncos, not an above average offense, in my opinion, didn't really do much against this Philly defense. I don't think the Saints have an above average offense. My point of that, going through that schedule there, was against above average offenses, this Philly defense can be moved on. You can score on them. We've seen bad offenses, below average offenses, not get it done. Saints are weird. Sean Payton, I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league, and he's done a pretty good job here with Simeon. But again, the more and more tape is getting out here, right? What was that? We have 2 full games of Simeon. I'll say last week, again, and the week before, it was a lot of their yards came in garbage time. They scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. I don't have the yardage breakdown by quarter, but 22 points in the fourth quarter against the Falcons to come back. Titans last week, they scored 9 of their 21 in the fourth quarter. So, again, and both 9 of those points came in the final 5:33 of that game. So, do I think Philly's a team that's going to get up big in this game? No. Kamara's out. So that's another thing that the Saints don't have. Philly is also this is like the game of like backdoor fourth quarter darlings. This game, I'm really rooting for nobody to get up in this game because both teams have shown the ability in garbage time to claw back in. The Saints had a chance to tie that game up with the Titans last week. But, Jalen Hurts is like QB2 this year in fantasy. And like out, if you strip out QB or the fourth quarter, he's like QB30 or something. And he's QB1 in the fourth quarter. So, again, close. I think this is a close game. I don't see either offense really getting crazy here. I think this ends up like the Philly games that they played against like Carolina earlier in the year. Just both offenses really struggle against these defenses, and we don't see a lot of points scored. Under 42.5 right now. I think that's the limit. I probably wouldn't play 42. Really like that half because I can definitely see I could see a 28-14 type of game. Really could. Just really hope I don't get burned by garbage time in this one because these are the two garbage time teams, or offenses, I should say, so far this year. Houston at Tennessee. Market isn't really respecting Tennessee as like the best team in the world. As a lot of like media members are appointing them. I personally think they're being treated as like the 10th best team. in that range. I don't think people are believing what they're doing. I apologize if you can hear any background noise on my mic because I have a Roomba or Shark, whatever, the little robot vacuum going, and I think it's stuck upstairs. So I'll try to get that. Um, yeah. Anyway, hope it's not going through. But yeah, Tennessee only -10 here against the Texans. I do think that this game it's tough. Tennessee's numbers without Henry have not been great. Um, since Henry's gone out, the play action pass hasn't been great. Just overall, I think they were averaging like 10 yards per play or per pass with the play action. Since then, it's like down to like 7 or something like that. So a pretty big drop. Um, but yeah, I've been a fan of Tyrod, right? And I think Tyrod, I actually thought I was going to have an edge on Houston here. I don't. Um, I lean I actually like the over. I held this off because of I don't know what this Tennessee offense is going to be. I don't think the Texans are the team to really stop. I have the Texans as the second worst defense in the league. Um, but I think this Texans offense can move. I think if you want to go ahead and play at this 44.5 that's still out there, the over, I think you're fine. Um, it's tough because Tyrod's off the hamstring injury, hasn't looked all that great since he's been back. But I do think there's some points. I don't think the Tennessee defense is great. I think Houston can score some points. It's going to force Tennessee to throw the ball. They're not really in love with, I guess, their run offense since Henry got out. Maybe their offense is just really, really bad, and I'm slow to adjust on how much Tannehill, his impact is going to be because they don't have Henry. I like to think 2-game sample is probably skewing things, so I lean over, but I held off for the reasons of I kind of just have Tennessee as an unknown. So that probably, with how things have gone for me recently, that probably means it's an overplay here. But 44.5, like they didn't get there last week with the Saints, but the Saints have a great defense. Like Houston doesn't have a great defense. They got the 44 last week against the Rams. I know that game was there were turnovers and everything. Just kind of a really weird game, but two not impressive points against a Rams defense that I think is good and a Saints defense that is good. Actually, I don't really care to add. I'm gonna do it though, because I've talked myself into it. I hate myself for it, but I'm gonna bet this over right now. At 44.5. Yeah. So, um, I just think I think we're underrating the Titans offense. I don't think the Titans defense is that good. I think Houston with Tyrod Taylor running things can get enough done. I think Nico Collins has been pretty impressive in his short amount of time. I think we're going to see this Texans team couple injuries on defense. I just really think this offense or sorry, the Titans offense can score. I don't want to say it will today, but I think they can score a bunch of points. So over 44.5. And I mean, I don't really love betting it at 10:30 here, 2.5 hours before kick, but here we are. So over there, I really, again, Titans or this Texans defense is terrible. Titans should be able to move the ball. I think market is overrating the impact of Derrick Henry. Sometimes these things take a little bit. You have to find what works for you with new personnel. I think that's what happens here in at home against the Texans. Over 44.5, worth a shot there for me. Green Bay, Minnesota. One of the more annoying games of the week. The Vikings are currently +1. Total is 48. Green Bay injuries are kind of a mess. Bakhtiari had a chance of going. It seems like for 3 weeks now. He's not. Lazard is doubtful today. Scantling is questionable. Devontae Adams is going to go. Rodgers ended up on the injury report with a toe injury. I'm not really worried about it. Aaron Jones out. He got hurt last week. Rashawn Gary, I haven't seen an update for him. He was going to try to give it a go. He hyperextended his elbow last week. But I think that's a pretty big key. He's been the guy getting most of the pressure for this Packers defense. Outside of that, it hasn't. There hasn't been much. He's been a very nice for how many injuries they've had on defense this year. He's been a nice little development piece. The former first round pick. If he's not 100%, Minnesota can probably keep him. Cousins doesn't like to take sacks. That can, maybe they're getting the ball out too early. I don't know. There's no pressure today. I think they can throw. But this is where one of those games where it's a close game, and I don't see Green Bay playing another like slow game like last week. We're in a dome here. I expect Green Bay to score some points. I know this Minnesota defense is okay. Patrick Peterson's probably good to go here. I know Thielen is good to go, which is good news. But Breeland has a groin injury. I think Harrison Smith's good to go, but he's been out as well. It's Anthony Barr is questionable this week. Pierce, he's out, which hurts the running game. So I think that's going to bring Green Bay's offensive efficiency up. And we've seen Minnesota in games, no matter if it's a low-scoring game, close, they try to match what the other team's doing. And I think with Green Bay's offensive firepower, Minnesota's going to have to be aggressive, as they should always, and have some offensive firepower as well. This was like 49. I bet it at 49 over. And it went up to 49.5. And then I think it was Thursday morning, came back down. And I was kind of shocked by that because it just didn't really make sense to me. I don't know if it's because Rodgers had the toe injury and whatnot, but that's where we are. It's whatever. Market has gone again. I like it at 48. It was, I think, at 47 at some point. I think we're just gross overreaction, in my opinion, to both of these teams. I think this game can fly over. We've seen there's still some 47s out there. I think this game can fly over this number. Vikings are going to play whatever. If Green Bay should be able to move the ball. I'm not worried about this Rodgers injury, and that's going to force Minnesota to play into however their opponent's playing. If they want to play a slow, low-scoring game, we'll play that. If they want to play a high-scoring game, we'll get that. We'll do that as well. That's been the Vikings' MO really this entire year. And with the injuries to Gary, Kevin King's questionable, it's been an interesting, tough year for the Packers in regards to injuries on the defensive side of the ball. So I think both teams can score here. Don't think 49 is that hard to get to in this one. Yeah, Vikings, they've just been a weird team. They have a couple games in the 60s, and then they have a couple games that are like they couldn't even get out of the 30s. So just all over, just huge range. So over there for me, I still like it 48. I think it's a really good play. Might be my strongest play of the week, if I'm being completely honest with you. So, yeah, I think both teams can light it up there. Cincinnati at Vegas. This game has been floating around pick -1, +1, flipping back and forth, it seems. Right now, Vegas is +1, and the total's 50.5. I basically make this a pick 'em. So there's nothing there for me. I have a slight lean to the over. This was 50 early week. It's kind of ticked up. I think you can do worse than playing the worse things than playing the over here. If you need to, I don't know if you're in a pool where you're picking totals. I'm in a pool that has a couple totals thrown in each week that you can bet. Just don't think this Raiders defense is all that special. I think the offense is above average, even with the Ruggs injury. I think they can get it done. I know Richie Incognito is kind of a loss. The offensive line is a little nervous, but bunch of injuries on defense for the Raiders. I think Cincinnati can move the ball, which is going to make the Raiders. I think the Raiders run into problems when they try to run too much. Kind of saw that earlier in the year when Josh Jacobs was out. They were much better early in the year because I thought they put an emphasis on throwing the ball. Bengals, for the most part, are decently healthy. Couple injuries on the defensive side of the ball, but nothing substantial here for this point of the season. Cincinnati's doing pretty good, so I like both teams to score here. I know the Bengals have been this weird team where they score but they don't. They're off the bye week. They've had extra time to prepare. I think they can. I think they have a game plan that scores points here today. For them, they were playing some really high scoring games. They still have 50 and a half. The last three have all gone over that number. The one before that was 45, and then they had the 47 in the Packers game, which had like 17 missed kicks. Yeah, just they're kind of an over team. Definitely later in the year here, they've had some pretty lopsided games, but I think this offense, outside of that Browns game, they still put up 350 yards of offense. They've scored 31 or more since then. So I think with a bye week against this below average Raiders defense, I think they can score. Raiders on the flip side, I know things didn't look great against the Chiefs last week, and really against the Giants, but I think they're better than that. I think we're kind of underrating the Vegas offense. I think Carr is good enough to score here. I don't think this Bengals defense is like amazing. I know in EPA per play they've fared okay, about league average, but I'm not a huge believer in this Bengals defense. So I think the Raiders can score some points in this one. Over 50 and a half is a lean for me. Nothing on the side as I make it a pick 'em. Arizona at Seattle. I don't know if there's official news. Yeah, I don't think anything's official. I'd be pretty shocked from what I've heard through multiple people that Kyle Murray does not play today. I think the line reflects that. As this was what, +2.5 early in the week. Seattle was +2.5. So I think we're getting McCoy again, and McCoy outside of that game against I can't remember who it was against. The 40 no. Who's that game he lit up? Was it 49ers? Yeah, lit up the 49ers, right? Bad last week against the Panthers. I don't think the Seahawks defense is horrible. I don't think it's great. I think we're sitting around average in my opinion. I don't know if Russ is fully healthy. I know people are going to say like he wasn't against Green Bay. I don't know. It's kind of hard to get a read because I don't know if I don't know who Seattle's been game planning for. They've probably had the game plan for both. That bodes well for the over at this 46 number, which I think is rightly made here. But I do think you probably have value on Seattle. If you think Russ is healthy, I don't know if he is. The Seahawks also love to play close games, so it's kind of tough to get involved here. But I do think 3 is probably short if you do think that Russ is healthy, because I'm pretty confident that Kyler Murray is not going to go. Maybe since I've started, there's been news. I can just check injuries here if there's been any news on him. Yeah, so it's like pregame warm up, but all signs are heading to Colt McCoy. So even if Murray goes because of the high ankle injury, he's probably not going to be as mobile as the Cardinals offense needs him. I think Seattle's probably valuable there. But again, Russ's finger injury, it's kind of tough to get involved with a game where both quarterbacks might not be 100%, and definitely a finger injury that could affect Russ throwing the ball, because he didn't look great last week, but we've seen maybe rush back too quickly, and then this week he'll bounce back. But yeah, slightly in Seattle there. I think the total's fine at 46. Yeah, I think Seattle has the value there if there's anything to bet, but I'm staying away. So maybe the game of the week. I'm appointing that. I don't know if it actually is, but Dallas at Kansas City. Kansas City minus 2.5, totals 56. The big news here: Amari Cooper's out with COVID. He's actually going to miss next week as well. Kind of a big loss. But again, they got Gallup back last week, so they still have Gallup and Lamb. Their tight ends have been phenomenal this year as well. Uh, have I seen an updated Tyron Smith? Um, no Tyron Smith. Yeah, not expected to play. That was this morning. Yeah, Rappaport. That was at what, 5 a.m. Attaboy, Rappaport. Way to get it done. So no Tyron Smith, no Cooper, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Randy Gregory out. Blake Jarwin. I'm not worried about the Blake Jarwin injury, but a lot of injuries for the Cowboys today. They go up against the Chiefs, who people after one good game against a bad Raiders defense are ready to say they're back. I'm not here. I'm not sitting here and saying that the Chiefs were ever gone. I thought they were very unlucky. I think they were a little bit broken. I think they needed to figure some things out. But I really thought that they were just as much as this Dallas defense, I think, is overachieved because they've gotten so many interceptions and turnovers. I think the Chiefs were like the opposite of that on offense. Like they were still like as bad as the Chiefs have been on offense. They're third in EPA per play. Like that's like third in EPA. They're ahead of the Packers. They're ahead of the Cowboys. I know Cooper Rush played a game for the Cowboys, so might be swaying things a little bit here. Ahead of the Rams, ahead of the Titans, like 0.002 behind the Bucks, 0.008 behind the Cardinals. So, and Cardinals again have played a couple games now with Colt McCoy. So, this team didn't really need to do much on offense to get back to normal Chiefs levels here. But I do think that they're much improved if the luck. I think they're the best unit in the league if their luck changes. In my model, they're still number one in the league. So that's that they like it did drop. Mahomes' play was coming down a little bit, but there's still a gap between them and number two in my projections. So I lean over here at 56. This was there's some 55s and a half. 56 is I'm seeing a plus 104 there. I lean over. Those injuries kind of make me nervous for Dallas. Kansas City's been getting healthier on defense. Ward and Chris Jones missed a lot of time in those games that Kansas City was really bad. They're both back. I think they're improved. Outside of that, they're pretty healthy. They had a lot of good injury news go their way this week. A couple guys, Ward is out again. That he's not back. Just Jones is back. I do think they're better than what they've shown. I still think it's a below average defense. I think this game is game script wise. The Chiefs are going to throw the ball a ton, which is going to force the Cowboys to throw the ball a ton. I know there's always a chance that the Cowboys stick to the run here, but Kellen Moore's been pretty good. Injury. Play calling wise, I think Dallas and Kansas City can really light it up here. I have a slight lean to the over, but I don't love getting involved with overs this high because just one or two miscues and you're cooked. It's not one of those. It's a really tough thing to do with that. But we've seen if Dallas has success on offense, we've seen a bunch of times that the other team is able to kind of claw and stay with them. We kind of saw this with the Panthers. We saw with the Patriots, the Dallas had a lot of success on offense, and Mac Jones and company had a solid game, even though they only had 335 yards of offense. But the Giants kind of put up some points when they had the Panthers put up some points, the Eagles put up some points. So I think this is a game where both offenses have a pretty good feel. I lean over. Nothing I've played though, but that's where I would go. I make this game 2.5, so I'm right on the market line here on the side. Pittsburgh at the LA Chargers. This is one of the tougher games that I think I've dealt with in the last couple of years because of all of the injuries. There's been COVID on both sides. Minka Fitzpatrick is not going today. Ben Roethlisberger looks like he's good to go because he passed protocol. But Kevin Dotson on the offensive line is out. The offensive line is already bad, and he is out. Joe Hayden is out. TJ Watt is out. So yeah, we're at the point where you're Minka Fitzpatrick, your best defensive back is out. Your best defensive lineman is out. I'm not going to say Dotson's their best offensive lineman, but you have an offensive lineman out on an already bad offensive line. The Chargers also had some COVID issues. Bosa being the big one. He's in. He's good. You look at they had Adderley was on and Davis were on the injury report this week. They look like they're good to go. Herbert had an oblique injury. He was on the injury report this week. He's gonna be good to go. So for the most part, they were pretty fortunate. I know a couple guys are still out with COVID, but pretty fortunate from an injury standpoint for the Chargers. I just cannot. I don't know how bad the Pittsburgh defense is going to be without Hayden and Fitzpatrick and like cluster injuries in the defensive backfield, right? I don't know how bad they're going to be without those two, and then on top of it, TJ Watt. Like, is the pass defense? Are the Chargers just going to like go wild here and throw for like? Is Herbert going to throw for 500 yards? I don't know. It's really difficult to get a read on this game from that standpoint. The Steelers, EPA per play wise, they've had a lot of injuries. Watt and Hayden have been injured before this, but drop back EPA per play, they're seventh. The Pittsburgh rush defense has not been great. So it is you're probably getting a below average offense here, or sorry, defense for the Steelers, I'd imagine. When you look at offense, the Chargers, again, in drop back EPA per play, they're ninth. In rush EPA per play, they're 12th. So they've been able to do it both. But if the Chargers are going to run the ball, that's going to slow this game down. And the Steelers haven't really been able to run the ball, but this Chargers defense has been very susceptible to the run. Both teams are susceptible to the run in this game. And now all of a sudden, you have a clock that's just churning out, right? It's just churning the whole time. So I think game script wise, this play is great towards the under. The concerns are that the Steelers defense is just terrible and the Chargers score like 38. I think that's entirely possible, but we've seen this Steelers these Steelers games just hardly go over. I don't even know how many times have the Steelers gone over 47.5 this year. Once against the once against the Bears, that crazy game against the Bears. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think this game, it looks like a game script wise, Najee Harris is going to get a ton of carries. I think the Chargers could carry as well, but they like to throw. So that's also like the Pittsburgh defense is just vulnerable on both sides, in my opinion, here. So nothing for me. I just really I kind of leaned like games like from a game script like subjective standpoint. I think that this this under makes sense. It just really depends on how many what do you value these defensive injuries to the Steelers defense, in my opinion. So game script wise, like I said, both teams should run the ball and can have success there, but I don't know what the Steelers offense or defense is going to look like. So yeah, just came out. Ravens had a bunch of non-COVID illnesses that's been going around. We've seen that in multiple college teams. Basically, the flu has been bad. Jackson is at the field, though. He's going to see how he feels before he goes. So nothing for me in this Pittsburgh game. I don't know. I think that this, like, I'm going to kick myself when this game goes like is like 23-10. Because it just seems that that's the way to go. But I'm on market, so I can't do anything. I guess I have a slight lean towards Pittsburgh in this game. On market with a total, but I'm not getting involved because of how many injuries Pittsburgh has and to who those injuries are. Giants at Tampa Bay, last game, Monday night game. Tampa Bay is minus 11.5, totals 49.5. I am right around that, so there's nothing really here for me. Not going to spend too much time on this game. As like I have a slight lean towards the Giants, I guess, but if the Giants' pass defense has been terrible, I think the Bucks are going to be and Brady are going to be able to move the ball a ton. And you're going to have Daniel Jones dropping back to pass a ton. He's been fine. Like Daniel Jones has made some plays this year. It's kind of weird to say that. I'm not saying he's like efficient, but he's put up some points, but he's also he's Danny Dimes. So a lot of turnovers can happen. So I lean Giants at a plus 11.5 total, I think is about right. So nothing there for me. Survivor. I'm still live in one of mine, which is fun. I think there's like 96 entries left in mine. Pretty big pull. I don't love this week. You're at the point, like you never love your pick at this point of the season. I think it's Browns for me. I think New England was a solid play as well. I hate it that I had to take the Browns because of the Mayfield injuries, but you know, I mean, they're 13.5 point favorites. Like, come on, you know, the Patriots were it was down to them and the Patriots, and I was on the Falcons +7, so I didn't think that the Patriots had a ton of value there. So if you were able to get Tampa, yeah, sure, go ahead and get Tampa. But I'm seeing, just looking at this pick projection, like under 10%. There's gonna be 25% of the pool in Cleveland. I guess you're rooting for Houston today. If you're still alive in Survivor, unless you took Tennessee, but Tennessee is going to be the highest picked game. So go Tyrod Taylor and the Texans, and we'll see if the Browns are alive for next week there. So, yeah, so that's it for me. Hopefully we have a good week. Didn't start great on Thursday, but I like the 3 plays. Subjectively, market has agreed for the most part on 2 out of the 3. I still think that Packers line, I just can't disagree more with the market movement there. So NBA is up and going for us. It's been good. Like I said, college football has been great. Frank and I, we do Wednesday, the opening line at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We break down the games, have a couple more weeks. Should be fun. We discuss the playoff rankings at first and kind of the scenarios that can play out, and then get into the big games of the weekends and some bets we have. How about them Wolverines, huh? Yeah. Excited to get crushed by Ohio State. But yeah, season's been good. I think Frank and I are like combined like 34 units or something like that this year. It's been a good run over at elitesportsbetting.com. NBA, good start to the year. I'm up like 6 units. I think Frank has had a really good start as well. And then college basketball. I haven't started college basketball yet. Maybe next week after these Thanksgiving tournaments get through. Maybe get started next week. So look for that over at elitesportsbetting.com. Yeah, it's a fun time. NHL's going. We got that over there. Elite Fantasy has all your DFS needs, Fantasy Guru with your season long needs. So head over there and yeah, get anything you need in the sports realm of fantasy and sports betting. We have it for you. So that's it for me. I'll be back Wednesday with Frank breaking down the college football slate. Thursday again breaking down the NFL slate with Pilar and Ricky and Paulie and whomever else joins with us. So that's it for me. Until next week, good luck on your bets, and I'll see you then.